Okay guys, sorry I can't be with you. I had something coming up, but I wanted to have you be able to do all of your tile work, or at least learn how to do it today. So I'm gonna tip this down so you can see. I'm gonna have you make a little practice tile today, just so you can get the hang of carving. So number one, I wanted to point out a couple things about these tiles. So if you look up close at this, this is a carved tile. There's quite a bit of detail that's on this. A lot of foreground, middle ground, background, but if you look at the edge, it's just as thick as the starting tile. So this is about the thickness. Yours might be a little bit thicker. Last year we went a little thinner, but not very thin. But yet there's all this detail that's on them. And that's because it's sort of a relief carving. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's basically giving the illusion of depth. So I did very little carving out. What I did was a little bit more adding on, but I definitely gave the illusion of depth between the objects in the foreground, middle ground, and background. And here's how you do that. So I'm going to have you take a little piece of clay, and I've made you each one of these. I'm using one that looks like a little bite out of the corner, but they're kind of square. These are plastic, at least mine's plastic right now. By the time you carve, it should be a little more leather hard. So you're gonna put that down, and I've also made these little, they're just silly little drawings. It doesn't matter what it is. There's also empty ones if you just wanted, there's ones with just a border. And you would trace with your marker on there. So you will need one of these, just one. You'll need a little bag to put your tile in at the end of class. You're gonna need a marker for tracing your design. And then you're going to need your clay tools. You might need a larger clay tool. This is just called a loop tool. There's different ones. They're back at the clay table. You don't really need a knife for this. And then you'll need your box of tools. So the loop tools don't go in here. They're too big. They're back at the table. These tools are for smoothing things out. And then there's smaller loop tools, like you can see. You know, this one has different end. Each one of them has a different end. Each one of them are used for something different. Obviously, this one would take out a little bit more. This one has a squared off edge. So they all do something a little different. So you get your little design, whatever it is that you're gonna do. I'm gonna use one with a border here. And just like you did with your tile, you're just gonna, they're only 3 by 3 inch. I'm gonna trace my design, and then I'm gonna press it on there like we've done before. Okay, and I'm gonna carve it. I can just, if you want to use your pin tool to sort of carve out the edges, you can. Remember that whenever you're working with the pin tool to draw, you want to pull in the opposite direction of the point. That way you're not ending up creating these big rough lines. I'm not going to, well, put my glasses on here. I can see the design in there just fine. So I'm going to start, I'm going to decide what I want to have carved out. So in this case, I could carve this out here, but I don't really want to. Because I want it to make it look like it's sticking out. So I'm going to carve out this area in the back here. Okay, so all of this is going to be carved out all around here. Now, can you see that? Maybe I'll come down a little closer. Okay, so number one, to carve like I did on this tile here, I'm going to carve on an angle, maybe I will go up a little bit more, carve on an angle near the things that I want to have carved. Meaning, like if I want this border to stick out, I'm not going to just take this flat carving tool, and it's this one with the square edge. I'm not just going to take this and push it down and pull out huge chunks. In fact, I want you to practice doing that. So you can see I have pulled out quite a bit there, and I don't need to go down that far. The goal isn't to make like huge chasms and things in here. So what I want to do is, there's a difference. When I'm carving, what I want to do is I want to tilt my carving tool a little. I want to know whether you can see that or not. So I want to tilt it on an edge. So when I'm pulling out an edge, I'm going to tilt it a little. So it's not straight, it's tilted, and I'm just along the edge. I'm going to really, really gently pull out a little bit of clay. So I've not gone down super, super far like I started. And then I can just even that edge out. So I want to be careful. I don't want to go around the, I want to be careful where my little amoeba thing is here. That's actually a difficult shape to carve. And it's also a little bit difficult for me to carve because this clay is very plastic, and therefore it kind of makes rough edges. So I'm going to trace around here with a loop tool first. So you can sort of see where I've traced out a little bit. And then I just use, you know, I play around with the different size tools. If I've got soft, curvy edges, Then I want to look for a loop tool that has a soft curved edge. I'll put it against this so you can see. So soft curved edge. And all I'm doing is sort of creating an angle around any two things that overlap. And I'm pulling out little tiny pieces of clay. I don't want to take big chunks out at a time. Now, if your clay is very plastic, it's not going to look really smooth the first day that you do it. The more leather hard your clay is, the smoother the carbs are that you're going to get. So I want you to practice removing tiny sections of clay as you're coming along. When you're pulling them out, I just sort of hold them in my hand. It's going to create a mess on your table. So at the end of class, at the 5-minute bell, or maybe a little bit before, you can start cleaning up. Make sure that your tablecloths, that you work as a team to get all of the crumbs into your trash can before you fold it up. So I'm gonna pick this up in a minute, and you can start to see how my little shape is starting to take form there. It's just starting to stick up from the edges. Now, I can come back in here, and I don't have to do it today, but I can come back in here with some of these smoothing tools if I've got something that fits in there and sort of smooth up those edges. So I'm just gonna use this to practice carving, okay? If you wanna keep the tile after it's done, then do a really nice, neat job of it. And today, I mean, you could glaze this later on if you really wanted to. So, but today, at the end of class, use a permanent marker, please, to put your name on here. And put it in the bag. I'm gonna have you put these, if you go back to the ceramics area in the back, where the table is, where all the slabs were laying, right behind that, the big, tall set of shelves right in the center back there, is where I would like you to put these, and then I'll get them when I come in the next class day. So that's what I want you to work on today. So you pick out your little design, trace it with a marker, and transfer it.